It is Wednesday night. Do you know where your kids are? You're listening to John Guy Saves the World in 30 minutes. And we're going to save a part of the world tonight in 30 minutes or less. My thanks go out, of course, Fancy Fables, of which I am a part. And on Wednesday nights, we try to solve some of these issues. Our call-in number is 415-340-4848. Once you get that number down, we're going to ask you for an extension for this show, and it's 844. So feel free. Give us a call. 415, I'm sorry, 415-340-4848, extension 844. Now, that being said, what are we going to talk about tonight? Well, we're going to be talking and we're going to solve in 30 minutes or less the problem with prison reform in this country. It matters. It absolutely matters because there are 1.5 million people in prison in the United States tonight. That's it's a 390% increase since 1978. And that's just horrible. Horrible. And we've got an 80% recidivism rate here in the US, which means 80% of these people are going to be coming out, committing another crime, and going back into prison. So our problem isn't so much that we've got all these people in prison, which of course we do. The problem is what happens. What happens when, as an example, let me see. Yeah, we wanted the computer audio. Yeah. Anyway, the problem is that 600,000 people every year are released from prisons in the United States. 600,000. I mean, that's ridiculous because these people are coming out. They're not educated. They don't have a job skill. No one's going to give them a job or possibly housing. They're going to be out on the streets. And this is why you have an 80% recidivism rate. How do we solve this problem? 1.5 million people are in prison right now. 600,000 are going to be released this year. And what are we going to do with them? Because let's be completely honest here, prisons do not, for the most part, rehabilitate or reform the prisoners. That's not what we're doing here. What we're doing is we're making money we're making money incarcerating people. And we make lots of money doing that. In fact, I'm calling in for this show out of Pinal County, Arizona. We have 10 prisons in Pinal County, Arizona. 10. That's an incredible number. And the state of Arizona and private corporations are making huge profits from incarcerating people. Now, the private prisons, I will have to say, do a little better job of preparing guys and gals when they get out. The state prisons, not so much at all. And because of this, because of the reentry issue, we've got a problem here in the United States. I want you to join in on this if you would. My number again is 415 340 4848. And that's extension 844. And you'll be on the air and you can help me solve this problem. Honest to God, I have a solution. You give me 30 minutes and we'll solve most problems. But this one is actually pretty darned easy. And it won't cost anything. That's the amazing part. It really won't cost anything. It will cut the recidivism rate down dramatically. In fact, some programs show that my plan would end up cutting the recidivism rate by as much as 80%, which is what the current recidivism rate is. So if you could, out of the 600,000, keep 80% of them on the outside rather than on the inside, you might have a chance at rehabilitating the people, at making them productive members of society. And that's the bottom line here. When they come out, we need to be able, they're a workforce. Come on. There's 600,000 people out there that can get jobs. And you don't have to give them, the vice presidency of Locklear Aviation. That's not what I'm saying. I am saying that there are people who are totally capable of doing manual labor and making money at it and themselves or supporting their family.
Hi, John. I don't mean to interrupt you, but the extension number is 924.
924. Okay.
Yes.
Well, maybe that'll prompt a call then.
Let's hope so.
Let's hope so. Welcome back, Breck. Welcome back.
Oh, thank you. Needed a little rest.
Yeah, well, our producer was unable to do our show Monday night because of health issues, and he was in our prayers and thoughts, and we're just happy to have him back. He does a fantastic job on the Stables Network, and I'm sure that Mark Mancini pays him royally for this. But let's get back to the prison situation. We've got a problem. 600,000 coming in into society every year from the penal system. and 80% of them are going to end up going back to prison. So, how do we solve this issue? How do we solve the problem? Because, in all honesty, as long as we're making money off of it, Americans, for the most part, really don't give a damn about a lack of education or a lack of practical skills. They just want the people incarcerated. And they're not looking at the big picture. The big picture is you have to, 8 months after these people are actually released, 8 months later, 74% of all the men released from prison are still looking for a job. 8 months. And because of that, they reoffend. I mean, it is estimated that besides the societal and the community stigma around being, a felon, a former felon, there are 48,000, they say, 48,000 legal barriers to employment. Housing, licenses, and most of the fundamental things needed to be a productive member of any community. So it's stacked against them. And we're not treating the mental health issues, the substance abuse issues. We had on one of my shows a couple of months ago a judge from the state of West Virginia. And he offered a man a choice. He could either take 1 year of rehab for his drug abuse problems, or he could spend 7 years in a state prison. The man chose 7 years. And you know why? Because he could get drugs in prison. A heck of a lot easier than he could have gotten them in a rehab facility. So we've got problems, folks. And we really need to solve this before it gets really out of hand, because I was looking on beenverified.com today. I don't know if you've ever gone to it, beenverified.com. You can put your address in there. They'll tell you all about your house. Turned out, and I did not know this, there are 91 registered sex offenders living within 3 miles of my house. 91. I was unaware. And I really recommend you go to beenverified.com and type in your address and find out, because it'll tell you right away how many registered sex offenders live in your area. These are people who have gotten out of prison. I don't think you probably want them necessarily living in your neighborhood, nor do you want murderers, armed robbers, or rapists in your neighborhood. So we need to reform the prison system. These 600,000 that are getting out every year, we've got to teach them something just a tad bit more than how to make hooch in your toilet. Uh, by the way, that's where they make their hooch. Um, I used to work at a jail. I worked at the Maricopa County Jail, third largest jail system in the United States. And I know what you can do with toilet paper rolls and what you can do with ramen noodles. And it's pretty ingenious when you think about it. But we need to give these people who are incarcerated something more to do than figure out how to get air conditioning to their bed, or how to make ramen noodles into something. Here's a little thing that I did learn very quickly. You take those corn nuts in those little packets and you put them in tomato juice and let them sit there for about 3 days. Holy God, those corn nuts look like dumplings all of a sudden. And prison inmates and jail inmates, they will use those and they'll make soups out of them with corn nuts as dumplings. Interesting. But I digress. How are we going to solve this? We've got about 12 minutes left in the show, and I have the solution. The solution, which is going to cut recidivism, it is going to make inmates just a lot more human. They're going to teach them socialization, and that is you give prison inmates cats. Indiana does it. Kentucky does it. Washington State does it. Hell, in Washington State, death row inmates have their own cats. Now, we've got a feral cat problem in this country, obviously. And why not get two birds with one stone and give the inmates the responsibility of taking care of a cat, or a cell block can take care of 20 cats. They're feral cats. So you domesticate, you give them the spay or neuter process, you fix them up with a veterinarian, and they become your best friend. They become your cellmate, your bunkie. And the amazing thing is, the programs that have begun in Indiana and Kentucky and Washington State have calmed the inmate. They don't have problems with prisoners anymore because they don't want to lose their cat. They are learning to socialize with something that is alive. And they get very possessive and they treat them like children. And they love and nourish and nurture these cats. And guess what? The cats are changed, the inmates are changed. It reduces recidivism, they found in Washington State, by 80% if the inmate had a cat. And there's side benefits, obviously. You don't want mice or insects rats in your cell, cat will take care of that. It gives a person something more to do than play checkers. And when they get out, all the studies have shown that the former prisoner is more sociable, more stress-free, more peaceful and gentle. And what you're ending up doing is you're tackling not only the criminal behavior part of a person's soul, but you're also taking care of their mental health. They have something to live for. They have something to get up for and take care of day after day. They have responsibilities. You're teaching them that it's just not about themselves. No, it is about other living creatures on this planet. And you're helping control the feral cat population. Because come on, I live in central Arizona. There are 9 feral cats that live next door, underneath the house next door to me. They live under the house, 9 of them. And it would be nice to think that, I'm going to domesticate all 9 and I'm going to take care of their medical needs, but come on, I'm not, and you're not, and most people aren't. We're not in a position to be able to take care of 9 pets. And so this solves a twofold problem. It makes a hopefully hardened criminal less hardened. It makes them a gentler and more caring person, which is a life skill that they need on the outside. And it helps the feral cat population. It will cut that down. We will not have to euthanize as many animals as we currently do. Cost effective, I've got to believe the states of Indiana, Kentucky, and Washington are spending almost nothing to have feral cats. And I want you to think about this. Washington State makes sure that every inmate on death row has a cat. Think about that. Because I've dealt with death row inmates, having worked in the correctional system. And my remembrance of death row inmates is they were the easiest ones to handle because they were coming back to go to court. Excuse me, I have to cough. I had an accident last week. I fell. Doggone it. Broke 3 ribs. Anyway, I digress. It doesn't cost the state anything really. And you are teaching life skills to both the inmate and the cat. So there you have it. prison reform is looking at in the wrong direction. They're thinking that will get that inmate a GED. We'll help them with housing. We'll do something like that. But again, remember, 80% are going to commit another crime. Remember, 8 months after release, they're still looking for a job. So the GED and making license plates and working in a field does not have the long-term benefit, unbelievably, that having a cat does. So my proposal is very, very simple. Every state should be required by law to have feral cats inside institutions. Every single institution should have feral cats. You are then taking care of two problems. Boom. You're cutting recidivism. You're cutting the number of feral cats for the future. And you're giving guys and gals who are incarcerated, you're giving them a chance, an opportunity to love something, to care for something. There can't possibly be any negative effects of this. There can't. I mean, seriously, what could be a negative effect of allowing a person in a cell who is confined 23 hours a day with having a cat? And cats are much easier than dogs. It makes perfect sense. That's going to do it for another Wednesday night on John Guy Saves the World in 30 minutes. I think we solved a problem tonight. Now, is anyone going to do it? Oh, probably not. But at least Indiana, Kentucky, and Washington State are the forerunners of this program, and it's got a chance. We just need 47 other states to join with them in this kind of a program. Until next Wednesday, thanks for listening. We'll see you then, and we'll solve another world problem in 30 minutes or less. Good night now.